If you use TypeScript, then you have to check out this library. It's called TypeFest, and it has made my life so much easier when working with TypeScript. Essentially, it's a library that gives you methods and utilities for defining your types. For example, we have the accept utility, which takes a type and removes keys or properties from that type. In this example, we've removed the rainbow property, and we're left with the resulting type. In this video, I want to show you my favorite and most useful types that I use, and also give you some practical examples in the code. To get started, we can install the library by running this command, and just note that there are a few requirements to using it. You need to be using TypeScript version 5.9 or later. You'll also need to be using ES modules, and you need to have your strict option set to true in your TS config. If you meet all those criteria, then you're ready to start using it. I'm going to open up a TypeScript project that I have, and let's get to the first utility. Let's say we have a function that returns two different types, a success result and an error result. They each have a status property, and the success result has a user ID that's a number, while the error result has an error property. To use this function, let's go below and we'll call create user. And typically I like to use object destructuring whenever I can. So I'll get the status property, and I also want to get the user ID. However, you'll see that I get an error and it says user ID does not exist on type success or error result. And the reason it's giving me that error is because user ID doesn't exist on this error object. And so to get around that, I could add user ID and set it to undefined. So now this works, and we can see that user ID could be number or undefined. However, if we have a bunch of properties that exist on our success object, I don't want to have to manually attach them to the error result and just put undefined. This just gets super annoying and feels unnecessary. And so the way to get around this without any utilities is I cannot use object destructuring. I'll have to change this to a result, and then I could check if the result.status equals success, then it's able to detect that result.userid exists. So this approach forces me to write my code a certain way, and I just really don't like this approach. The way to get around this is I can use the MergeExclusive function, and I'll just wrap this return type so that it returns this. And now I'm able to go and destructure all of the properties. So if I get the autocomplete, you'll see I have status, error, or user ID. And so I'm freely able to grab the user ID and we see number or undefined, and I can proceed with the code however I want. So this utility is really helpful when you have discriminated unions, or two types that share some keys but have different other keys. The next type I want to show you is called Simplify. Say we have two types, position props and size props, and we create a resulting type by doing an intersection. When we hover over that type, you'll see that we just get this kind of vague intersection, and we don't actually know which properties are being used, like width or height. If we wrap it with Simplify, then you'll see that it unwraps all of those types and gives you the exact property names. And this is just way more helpful when you're developing. The next utility is called RequireDeep and PartialDeep. These utilities are used to recursively make a type required or partial. For example, if we have a type that has all optional properties, if we use just the built-in required type from TypeScript, you'll see that the resulting type only makes the properties at the top level required. So these two properties are all required and text editor. However, when you have one level of nesting, these properties don't become required. So instead, if we use RequireDeep, then that will recursively go through the type and make all properties required. And this is kind of a little hard to see because this type is actually required object deep, and here it looks like these are optional. But if we just wrap this type with simplify or simplify deep, you'll see that it does eventually unwrap all of those types, and this is the type that we expect. Partial deep works the same exact way, except it can take a type that has all required properties and recursively make them optional. So it's really just the flip side. The next utility is called get, and this one allows you to access nested properties. For example, if we have an app config type and we want to get the typing of our database config, we can call get, pass in our app config, and in here we'll get the nice autocomplete. So we could see database, and the resulting type will just be the database object. We can even go a layer further and access individual properties, and you'll see that that works as well. The next utility is called intRange. This one lets you define a range of values, or integers to be specific. So for example, we could set our age type to be between 18 and 150. And if I change the age to something outside the range, TypeScript will give me an error. The next type I want to show you is called literal union. Let's say we have a roles type where we have 3 predefined roles, but we also allow the user to create their own custom roles, which we don't know what they are, so we'll just say string. If I hover over this roles type, you see that we lose these literal strings, and the resulting is just type string. We don't know that these are some of the valid role values. However, if we wrap them with literal union, pass in our union and add a string as the second parameter, you'll see the resulting type is a little bit hard to read, but we get these specific strings and they're not lost in the type. It's more useful when we're actually coding. For example, if we have a function that takes a role type, I can go in here and do control space, and you'll see that I get all the possible values. Or I can also pass a value that is not on the list, for example, author, and TypeScript will not give me an error because this is still a generic string, which is included in the type. Let's move on to the next utility type. Let's say we're building an API client library and we want to define our client configuration. So we'll say a API key is required, a version, and we want to require one of these auth options. With just vanilla TypeScript, the way we would do that is basically take our base object and add an intersection and then make Google Auth required. And then if we want to create our second type, we'll do a union and paste the second object. This time we'll change it to GitHub Auth, and then we'll have to create a third object for our SMS auth. As you can see, this is very redundant and we could do it in a lot less code. So let me undo all of this, and we can use this RequireAtLeastOne property. So let's go to our base type and we'll add an intersection. We'll pass in our auth options and close that off. And now when we try to use our client configuration, it's going to tell us that we need one of these types. So let me just add GitHub Auth and I'll set that to true. And now if I remove that, it's going to tell us we need at least one. If I want to pass multiple options, I can. But if we wanted the user to only pass one, we could use the RequireExactlyOne. So if we swap that out, now we'll get an error because we're setting 2 of these values. If we get rid of them, then that error will go away. Let's move on to our next type. Let's say we have a draft blog post, which has a title, content, and tags, and all of these properties are optional because it's a draft. We also need a type for the published blog post, and we want to require the title and content, but then leave the tags optional. With vanilla TypeScript, we'll have to omit the title and content, and then pick it off of the blog post, and then make it required. And when you're reading through this code and you see this type, you're not going to really intuitively know right away what this type is doing or what the value is. However, if we use the setRequired utility, we could pass in a type and then pass in which properties we want to make required, and the resulting type is a lot more readable. So we see the actual properties that are required, and then the rest of the type that's optional. Use this utility function when you want to make some properties required on a type. The next utility is super simple. It's called camel case properties, and this is most common when we have a database type that uses snake case, and we just want to convert that type to use camel case. So if we wrap it with camel case properties, you'll see all of the properties get converted. Now let's move on to our last utility type. And this one is useful when we want to get all of the required or optional keys in a type. For example, in our HTTP request config, you see that our method and URL is required, but the headers and body are optional. We can pull out all of the required keys by using required keys of, and then passing in that type. And the result will be a union of all the required keys. And similarly, we can do that with all of the optional keys. We can then go a step further by doing a pick off of the config option, passing in all of the required keys, and the resulting type will be an object with the required properties. And we could do the same to get all of the optional properties. That's it for this video. Thank you guys so much for watching. Leave a like if you enjoyed and subscribe if you haven't already. Let me know in the comments if you have any questions or feedback, and I'll see you in the next one.